We just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob, and this video, we're going to do a top 5 that we haven't done yet. It's in regards to gaming. As you know, I'm a big RPG guy, so this is going to be my top 5 favorite RPGs of the 80s and 90s. Didn't put the 2000s in there, the 80s and 90s, and this was a tough to do. Because I like more than just these 5, but these are the 5 that stand in my memory as very enjoyable games that I would still turn around and play to this day. So here we go. At number 5, The Seventh Saga. The Seventh Saga. And if you owned a Super Nintendo and you were big on RPGs, this is probably one you didn't miss. And if you did, you should not have. A very fun and challenging game where you pick one of 7 characters, and you could there wasn't party based. You could have one character you teamed up with amongst that 7. And what made this game so cool is that out of the 7 characters, you pick one, but the 6 other characters go on the same quest as you. And as you journey, you got to find these, like, or if I can remember, if memory serves me, they're like orbs or crystals or magical stones of some sort. And you got to collect, I believe, 7 of them. And throughout your journey, you're going to run into those other 6 characters, and they may very well either A, have one of them that you need, or B, will try to take it from you. And this is the AI doing this. This is not like multiplayer. And it was such a cool concept, because every time you fought one of your rivalries, they were tough. They were tough. I remember many times losing and then having to reboot after saving, and then the dungeons were tough. You would go a long period of time without saving because you just couldn't find a place to do it. You could only save in an inn, if I remember well. And it was a challenging game. It was one of those old school games that did not hold your hand. It was a good story, nice long journey, a good leveling system. You didn't just fly up in levels, but it wasn't a grind either. It was a nice balance, very enjoyable game. If you have a Super NES emulator, I do encourage that you play this game. You can get it. I actually have it on one of my simulators, I believe, and emulators. And yeah, definitely a fun game. I highly recommend it. The Seventh Saga. So at number 4, Dragon Warrior. Dragon Warrior for the 8-bit NES, one of the early RPGs to come out. Such an enjoyable game that not too long ago I played through it again. And this is an 8-bit adventure that you look at it graphically and it's like, oh. And you didn't have, it was a solo game, you didn't have a party. And when you fought, it was in the first person. You did not see your character. You'd see your character walking around the 8-bit world, and then you'd randomly have an encounter, and you would fight, and you would see your enemy, but you wouldn't see yourself. This game was a bitch. I mean, you talk about, this game you kind of had to grind. And it was one of those games that you had to be a certain level to do certain things. If you even attempted to do these things before the right level was reached, you would get pummeled. And saving was another pain in the ass, because you always had to go back to the kingdom and talk to the king to save. And finding special items was a challenge. It was a very challenging game. A very challenging game. You always had these pivotal matches against strong enemies, and if you had a spell that you casted and you just happened to miss, you're screwed. It was one of those games that you could either have a good day where you're lucky and you just start slaying monsters, or you have a bad day and you have a close match and you go to cast a spell or make your final attack to kill that one tough enemy, and he either dodges the attack or dodges the spell. Yes, they used to dodge spells because these monsters are actually ahead of their time. They knew how to dodge a lightning bolt, unlike today's monsters. So Dragon Warrior definitely at number 4 on my list of most favorite RPGs of the 80s and 90s. Okay, so number 3, Final Fantasy II for the Super NES, and I mean the American one, which I think is Final Fantasy IV in Japan, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah, I think so. Final Fantasy II, starring the little black the Black Knight Cecil. This was, like, for me, the first super epic RPG. Like, Seven Saga was there. If anything, I think Seven Saga came out later. But this was like one of my first RPGs I played after like Dragon Warrior and a couple of those 8-bit RPGs, and I was in love, man. I remember I bought this game for my birthday. I had birthday money, so I bought the game. The game at the time, I remember to this day, was $80. $80. Yeah, so complaining about $59.99 games, yes, this game was $80 at Toys R Us when I bought it. And it was such a fun game. And I remember I bought it, my cousin was with me, and he actually sat and watched me play this because he thought it was like watching a story unfold. And the music was so epic. The journey was so long and fun. It was a bit of a challenge. I never forget facing the three sisters the first time, man. They kept whooping my ass. The Magus sisters, oh, they were tough. They were tough. They were a challenge for me. But you know, I don't remember too many matches that gave me a hard time, but that was definitely one of them, the Magus sisters. And it was such a fun game to play. I do have all the revamped versions, including the most recent one for the 3DS. It's one of my favorite RPGs of all time. So much fun. If you haven't played it, do yourself a favor, play this game, especially if you're an RPG fan. Okay, so at number 2, Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger. Anyone that's an RPG player has played and beaten Chrono Trigger. Another very, very fun RPG, a little bit different than your standard turn-based. You know, you had your 3 characters, and it was so cool. You could do like these combo moves together, and you would do them, and you kind of discover them. When you discover them, it unlocks, and it becomes a regular move you can do, if memory serves me right. But very fun game where you travel in time, and I can't remember too much of the plot. It's been a while since I played, but I do remember enough of it to know that it was one of my most favorite games growing up. And again, this is like another Super Nintendo thing here. And yeah, the main character was cool, the concept was cool. Getting the evil character to play on your side, depending on how you worked out the game towards the end, was very cool. Very good spells. It was just a very fun game. A lot of good content for a game at that time. And definitely one of my top favorites of all time in the 80s and 90s. 80s and 90s. So, yep, that's definitely one of them. Okay, and at number 1, Final Fantasy VII. Yes, Final Fantasy VII. And for me, I think the reason this is number 1, more than the fact that it was a great story and a great game in and of itself, it was groundbreaking at the time it came out. It was groundbreaking. You had never seen an RPG look the way this game looked at the time. And I know if you look at it now, like, really, it's like Polygon. But at that time, when it first came out, I remember playing the demo on the PS, blown away. Blown away. The summon, because on the demo you could summon Leviathan in the beginning of the game, even though you couldn't in the regular game. Man, I couldn't believe it. It was incredible. But even more than that is when you finally play the game, the whole combat system was cool. The leveling up materia system was very, very fun. And there was so many different materials to level up, so it gave a lot of content. Not to mention the little side missions, finding all the summons. Having to sit through the summons was a pain in the butt after about 100 hours of gameplay, but nonetheless, it was an incredible game. And even the story was very good. Had one of the most heartbreaking moments in gaming history with the death of Ares. And it just to this day remains my favorite RPG amongst those 2 decades, the 80s and the 90s. So, but that's it. My top 5 RPGs through the 80s and the 90s. What are your top RPGs of the 80s and 90s if you've been around that long? I know some of you haven't. Most of you probably haven't. But if you haven't, even if you're a youngin', all right, and you haven't been around that long, go do yourself a favor, get an emulator and play these games, man, because you're missing out. Try to ignore the graphics a little bit and look a little bit deeper into the story and into the content that's provided in these games. Or if you have a 3DS, get the remakes. You can get them. They're available. They're a lot of fun, and that's if you're an RPG guy. If you're not an RPG guy, you're not going to enjoy it. But that's it. Those are my top 5. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching ETN. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Nation Facebook page. You're watching ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob, and this video, we're going to do a top 5 that we haven't done yet. It's in regards to gaming. As you know, I'm a big RPG guy, so this is going to be my top 5 favorite RPGs of the 80s and 90s. Didn't put the 2000s in there, the 80s and 90s, and this was a tough to do, because I like more than just these 5, but these are the 5 that stand in my memory as very enjoyable games that I would still turn around and play to this day. So here we go. At number 5, The Seventh Saga. The Seventh Saga. And if you owned a Super Nintendo and you were big on RPGs, this is probably one you didn't miss. And if you did, you should not have. A very fun and challenging game where you pick one of 7 characters, and you could there wasn't party based. You could have one character you teamed up with amongst that 7. And what made this game so cool is that out of the 7 characters, you pick one, but the 6 other characters go on the same quest as you. And as you journey, you got to find these, like, or if I can remember, if memory serves,